Hello, Ben, MNCDover Gray here again. This is a follow-up video to the Swapnote RPG video I made about a week ago over winter break. I was going through all the forums and the emails and the comments I got, and first of all, let me say thank you for everything. That's really generous. The community is super awesome. But I got a lot of feedback from people saying they were confused as to how the whole system worked. It was a little convoluted, and some people had never played Dungeons and Dragons before or any role-playing game, pencil and paper, so they didn't really understand exactly how it worked. They thought it was a neat concept, but just didn't see how it worked. So the point of this video is to kind of get a little more in-depth, kind of a tutorial as to how to actually make a dungeon. And I'm going to provide a sample dungeon based on my templates, and then you guys can download them and use it as a kind of a beginner thing to kind of get your feet wet and feel how it all works out. Right here I've got the template that I used in the last one that hasn't changed at all. It's the exact same thing. But what I did is I created a 3-level dungeon, and if you watched the last video, a lot of this is going to be recap, so I do apologize for that. So here's the first dungeon, and this dungeon name is called the Caves of Whispering Madness, because that's awesome and very roleplay-y sounding. So what we're going to do is I'm going to recreate some of these rooms step by step so you can see how it works. Here's the first one, here's the second floor, and here is the third floor. And all of these floors and everything is going to be in the video description. I'm going to have JPEGs that you can download, and as well as PDFs. You can use whichever one you want. It's more convenient for you. I would recommend that you pause the video now and then open them up so that you can follow along with me. So, let's get started. Alright, so you've got your PDFs and images saved, you're ready to go. You've told your player which character they want to be. They can be for this dungeon they could be a cleric or a thief, a fighter, or a wizard. You've sent the information out, they're ready to go, you're ready to go. So you start by sending them your first image, first note. First page is typically some introductory information like, oh, they go to the door to the south, or you come into a room filled with bones. Second page is you draw the map as to what they revealed at this point. And you put a little X on there showing their location. And you can put circles for monsters, question marks for enemies, whatever. Third page, I typically put more details for them and then ask them what they want to do. And then the last page is reserved for like special notes or anything you might want to tell them, just reminders or whatever. Okay, so in this example, let's say they've decided to go to the south. You pass through the southern door and it turns into a hallway. It turned east. Second page of the note, now I've updated it to show where they are now and what they've done. And you come to another broken door. A few scared rats flee from you. And I put the little sound here. What will you do? And by the way, with that audio clip right here, when you first put it in, it's going to appear in the center. If you tap on it and hold it, you can just move it to wherever you want. I like to put it right in line with the text so it kind of gets a better effect. And audio is awesome. You should definitely be doing that in all your swap notes. So let's say they go through that door. You pass through the door into an old dusty room. You notice more of the maps revealed. We're still on page 1 of the dungeon. You notice footprints leading to the south. Just then you hear from the south. What will you do? Alright, so let's see here. I gotta cycle through my next one here. I put the little crown symbol so I could save them. Makes sorting them a lot faster. The path continues south and you come upon a small hallway with a tiny door. Now we're on page 2 of the PDF and the images. Come upon a door, you then hear from all around you. The voices fade, light footsteps come from the door beyond. So the player sends you another note. They say, I'm going through the door. And you send them this. You enter the room. It is an old trashed foyer. Just then, update the map. Now we got the circles because those are enemies. Just then you see two kobolds. They look at you, cower in fear, and say, "No, please don't shoot us." Your move. And I think you get the idea. You'll continue on here, making more rooms and more adjustments. You could continue, you know, depending on what the player wants to do. At this point, they could fight the kobolds. They could, you know, talk to the kobolds. They could do whatever you want. You don't get this kind of interaction unless you're in a pen and paper style RPG with a dungeon master. Computers just can't be programmed to deal with all the silly stuff that players are going to want to do. And, you know, they can go from here, they can go west, they can go south, and you'll just edit your map as you go. And if you look down the bottom screen, you see this down arrow right here? If you click on that, you can edit this existing note and add the pathways going west or south or anything like that. Really simple, and it will help out, and so you don't have to keep redrawing a whole bunch of stuff. And then finally, I want to show you what the player should be doing. Before you start, the player should create a note on their own 3DS that looks something like this. You know, with their name and what their class is. I'm the Ninja Thief. And they write down all their stats that's going to be provided by the Dungeon Master. And on that page, I also have all of their equipment. On the last page, you can put down what their abilities are and how often they use them. And as they use this stuff, then they can just come here and edit this note and erase it. Everything in this game has got to be on an honor system just because of the limitations of Swapnote. And finally, I'd like to show you how players can keep a map going. They open another note, and they just write down where they're going and keep track of it. The Dungeon Master is limited on the amount of ink that they can use on these pages, so they might not always show you the map. But players can keep their own map as they go, and hey, there we go. And that kind of leads us to combat. Okay, for our Swapnote RPG, we're just going to use a very simple combat system that I made up on my own. You can integrate any kind of combat you want from any kind of role-playing game out there. You like D&D, you want 3rd edition, 2nd edition, 4th edition, it doesn't matter. Put in what you want. For people that have never played D&D, I'm coming up with a very simple combat engine that you can use to kind of get you understanding how it works. And then, you know, on your own, you can start adding more things, skills, talents, attributes, die rolls, whatever you want to do. But one of the more important aspects of playing a tabletop RPG is you have to have dice. And dice are important because they're going to help you come up with the randomness and help, you know, keep combat and skills and stuff moving quickly and easily. And what's more important than anything else is that you have the proper dice bag, which is a purple Crown Royal bag. No good D&D player lives without a good-sized purple Crown Royal bag. Not the little tube of dice. And then the next important thing is to make sure you dump all of your dice out for everyone to see. The more dice you have, the more hardcore you are. Remember that, people. This is very important. So you see all these dice here, and there's a lot of different shapes and sizes and colors and all that. But all dice come in 6 kinds. Alright, and we've got a 4-sided die, which looks like a little triangle. And the way you determine what the roll is what's on the bottom of the die. Although some of them have the number at the top. And if you look, and you spin it around, it's a 3 at the top, 3, 3, so you know you rolled a 3. This one, you look at the bottom, 4, 4, 4. Then you have your typical 6-sided die. They can have pips on them, which are those little dots that you see, or you can get one with a number. Either way, it's all the same. Then you have an 8-sided die, which is this guy right here. And then we have a 10-sided die. Now, 10-sided dice have 2 functions. Not only do they help you roll numbers between 1 and 10, but they also help you roll numbers between 1 and 100. And there's 2 ways of doing that. The first way is to get 2 dice that are like this, you know, and you would roll them. You would say, like, okay, green. And in this case, we'd have a 4, then the 1. Another way of doing it is they make a special 10-sided that looks like this, and it's got all of your tens numbers. So in this case, you would roll these two together. You'd roll in a regular one and then this one. And you go 1 tens and a 0. So in this case, we would be 10. But say if that was a 3, this would be a 10 plus 3, 13. Pretty simple. Next we have the 12-sided die, which honestly doesn't see a lot of use, but we still love it. And then we have the 20-sided die. This is the one you'll see most often in any kind of role-playing game. So if you ever see anything in a description saying roll 1d10, 1d6, 1d20, what we're talking about, the number before the D, the 1, means you roll one of a D4. This is a 4. 1d6 means one of these. If it was 2d6, you'd roll 2 6-sided dice. Pretty cut and dry. Okay, so now that we understand how dice are and how they work and that sort of thing, we're going to get into this basic combat system I made up. It's very quick, very easy, very dirty. The Dungeon Master will be doing all the die rolling. So this is, again, an honor system. The player won't see any of the die rolls. So if you don't have your own dice, just Google die rollers. There's plenty of free Flash apps and all that sort of stuff to get you started. You don't need to have this stuff. If you look at the example of combat, universal combats, I'm going to put that as a PDF in the video description as well. You'll see that I've given all of the 4 classes attributes: attack, defense, magic attack, magic defense. The way combat's going to work is, let's say for example we have a wizard versus an orc. So the wizard starts by attacking the orc with his staff. Now it's just going to be a regular attack, so he'll use his attack roll. The Dungeon Master will take the 20-sided die, and he'll roll once for the player, 16. The wizard will add his attack bonus, which is 0, so he has a 16 total. Now we're going to say the orc has a +1 to his defense. 17 plus 1 is an 18, 16 is greater than 18. The orc avoids the attack, wizard does no damage. Orc counterattacks, 18, the wizard, 4 plus his 1 defense is only a 5, so he takes a die roll of damage, and he takes 5 points of damage. Wizard's got 1 hit point left. So the wizard decides, well, I better throw a fireball. It's a magic attack, so he uses his magic bonus. 18 plus 3 is 21. The orc has a magic defense of 0, so he cannot roll any higher than that. And he rolled a 1 because he sucks. And then we would roll the damage. Orc would take 4 points of damage. This would continue. Now, it's important that as a good Dungeon Master, you make sure that you are fudging rolls, to help the player or to help the enemy. Keep things going smoothly. If a character gets killed in one combat sequence, it's just not fun. So it's important that maybe that wizard only took 2 points instead of 5. It's just important, and it's good DMing, in my opinion. Okay, we're just wrapping up now. I just wanted to say a couple last things. This system is meant to be a tool set, and you can use any kind of RPG you want. Doesn't have to be Dungeons and Dragons type of stuff. There's no reason you can't make a futuristic world, space engines and ships, and whatever you want to do. The tools are all there. Just let your imagination run wild. You could also make a bunch of IP type of stuff. Say you wanted to make a game where Mario, Master Chief, and Kratos are fighting together against, Dr. Wily and all the Mega Man 2 bosses. Go for it. I can't stop you from doing that. Just be careful. It's IPs and stuff. Thanks for all the comments and the feedback. Keep sending them in, please. Don't send me more friend codes because I'm actually full now, believe it or not, and I don't want to, make you feel bad about not accepting your friends' requests. And if you could add me on Twitter, it's at MNCDover. I don't really use it a lot, but this is going to be a good reason that I should. So, find some friends out there in the comments section, swap friend codes. Guys, get this RPG stuff working. Spread the word. I really appreciate it, and I really, just thank you so much for all the kind words and comments and emails. It really means a lot to me. And hopefully one day I'll be making video games, and you guys go, oh, that's that Swapnote guy. I remember him. He was cool. Or a real jerk, but I hope you're not saying that. Anyway, thanks.